Lieutenant Jack Miller looked out the window of his small spacecraft. The blackness of space stretched in all directions. Tiny points of light from distant stars were the only break in the darkness. Jack was 32 years old, with short brown hair and a strong build from years of military training. He had been flying for the United States Navy for 10 years, but this mission was different from any he had done before. Control, this is Falcon 1. I'm approaching the edge of our solar system. All systems normal, Jack said into his radio. Copy that, Falcon 1. Continue on your path. Report any unusual readings, replied the voice from Earth Command. Jack checked his instruments. This was a simple mission. Fly to the boundary of the solar system, look for any strange signals, and come back home. Scientists had picked up odd energy patterns in this area. Jack was sent to see what was causing them. He sipped his coffee and adjusted his course slightly. The ship was small but fast. It was built for one person and could travel much farther than any human spacecraft before. This was only the third time anyone had gone this far from Earth. Suddenly, the ship's alarms began to sound. Jack put down his coffee and looked at the screens. All of his instruments were going crazy. Control, I'm getting strange readings. There's some kind of energy wave out here. I can't identify it, he said, trying to stay calm. Before Earth Command could answer, Jack saw something that made his heart race. Space itself seemed to bend in front of his ship. A ripple appeared in the emptiness, like a stone thrown into a pond. Then, as if a curtain was being pulled aside, a massive shape appeared where nothing had been before. It was a spacecraft, but unlike anything built by humans. It was huge, at least the size of a small city, and shaped like a giant arrowhead. Its surface was smooth and dark, with strange lights pulsing along its edges. Control, there's a ship. An alien ship. It was hidden, but now I can see it. Jack shouted into his radio. He reached for the camera controls to send images back to Earth. Before he could take a picture, a beam of bright blue light shot from the alien ship and hit Jack's spacecraft. All of his systems shut down at once. The lights went out, and the engine stopped humming. Control, I've been hit with some kind of energy weapon. I'm losing power. I need immediate. Jack never finished his sentence. A strange tingling sensation spread through his body. His vision blurred, and he felt like he was being pulled apart. The last thing he saw was his ship's cockpit fading away around him. When Jack opened his eyes again, he was no longer in his spacecraft. He was lying on a cold metallic floor in a large circular room. The walls glowed with a soft purple light. Strange symbols moved across surfaces that looked like screens. Jack stood up slowly, his legs shaky. His flight suit was still on, but his helmet was gone. The air was breathable, but had a strange, sweet smell. He wasn't alone. Standing around him in a circle were 6 beings unlike anything Jack had ever seen or imagined. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with bodies covered in what looked like translucent shells. Multiple limbs extended from their torsos, and their heads housed large, bulging eyes that shifted colors as they moved. Where their mouths should be, they had what looked like small speakers. "Hello?" Jack said nervously. "My name is Lieutenant Jack Miller. I'm from Earth. I mean no harm." The creatures turned to each other. They made clicking and whistling sounds that clearly formed some kind of language. One of them held up a small device that flashed with each sound they made. Suddenly, one of the aliens stepped forward. It pointed several limbs at Jack and made a series of harsh clicks. The device it held made a robotic voice. "You, criminal, captured." Jack shook his head. "No, there's been a mistake. I'm not a criminal. I'm an explorer from Earth." The alien made more clicking sounds. The translator spoke again. "Lies. Match description. Bipedal. Oxygen breather. Limited senses. Dangerous. What? No, I'm human, from Earth. We've never even met your kind before. Jack protested. When the aliens moved toward him, Jack's military training kicked in. He dropped into a defensive stance. When one reached for him, he knocked its limb away and pushed it back. This caused an immediate reaction. All the aliens began making loud alarm sounds. One pressed something on the wall, and a red light began flashing. Violent. See. Proof. The translator said. More aliens rushed into the room. They surrounded Jack. He tried to fight them off, but there were too many. One pressed a small device against his neck. A cold feeling spread through his body, and his muscles stopped working. Jack fell to the floor, unable to move, but still conscious. The aliens lifted him and placed him on a floating platform. They moved him through long, curving hallways. Everything was made of the same dark, smooth material. Other aliens stopped to watch as Jack was carried past them. Finally, they entered a smaller room. In the center was a clear container, just big enough for a human to stand in. They placed Jack inside and sealed it. A gas filled the chamber, and Jack felt himself getting sleepy. As his eyes closed, he heard the translator once more. Transport to Obsidian Deep. Maximum security. No escape. Jack's last thought before unconsciousness took him was of Earth. No one knew where he was. No one knew these aliens existed. And now he was being taken somewhere called Obsidian Deep, because they thought he was some kind of dangerous criminal. When he woke up, things would be much worse. Jack opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt, and his mouth felt dry. He was lying on something hard and cold. The air felt heavy, like it had too much oxygen. It made him feel dizzy, but also strangely alert. He sat up and looked around. He was in a small room with walls made of a strange black material. The walls seemed to swallow light. There was no echo when he moved. It was as if the room was eating sound too. There was a thin bed, a small sink-like object, and what might be a toilet, though it was shaped oddly. There was also a clear wall at the front of the room. Through it Jack could see a hallway with similar cells across from his. "Hello?" Jack called out. His voice sounded flat in the strange room. A shape moved in the cell across from him. Jack moved closer to the clear wall to get a better look. What he saw made him step back in shock. Creature in the other cell was huge. It had thick, red skin that looked like rock. 4 arms with sharp claws hung at its sides. Its head had no visible eyes, just a wide mouth filled with pointed teeth. "New meat," the creature said in a deep, rumbling voice. Jack was surprised. He could understand it. "What galaxy are you from, small one? What did you do to end up in Obsidian Deep?" "I'm from Earth, solar system." "Milky Way," Jack replied carefully. "And I didn't do anything. There's been a mistake." A harsh laugh came from another cell. Jack couldn't see who or what made the sound. "A mistake? There are no mistakes in consortium justice," said a high singing voice. "I am Elora. I have been here for 70 cycles. No one who comes to Obsidian Deep ever leaves." Jack moved along the clear wall, trying to see more of the hallway. He counted 12 cells total, including his. Each held a different alien creature. Some looked almost like animals from Earth, if those animals had been mixed together in strange ways. Others looked nothing like anything Jack had ever seen. "Where exactly am I?" Jack asked. "What is this place? You really don't know?" This voice was soft and seemed to come from everywhere at once. Jack realized it belonged to a cloud of swirling purple gas in one of the cells. "This is Obsidian Deep, the most secure prison in the known galaxies. Only the most dangerous beings are sent here." Jack felt cold fear spreading through him. "I'm not dangerous. I'm just a human." My species hasn't even left our solar system properly yet. Then how are you here? Asked the rock-skinned alien. I was on a mission at the edge of our system. I saw a hidden ship. They captured me and thought I was someone else, Jack explained. I am Rex, said the rock-skinned alien. I destroyed a space station by becoming part of its walls and then breaking it apart from inside. What crime do they think you committed? I don't know, Jack admitted. They just said I matched a description. Bipedal, oxygen breather, limited senses. This caused a wave of sounds from the other cells. Some were laughing, others making noises Jack couldn't interpret. That describes half the sentient species in the galaxy, said Elora. Jack could now see her in a cell to his right. She looked almost like a human woman, except her skin was blue and shimmering wings grew from her back. You must have been mistaken for someone specific. Suddenly, a loud tone echoed through the hallway. All the aliens became quiet and moved. To the backs of their cells, a group of robots floated down the hallway. They were smooth and silver, with no visible limbs, just floating orbs with glowing eyes. They stopped at each cell, scanned the occupant, and moved on. When they reached Jack's cell, they paused longer than they had for the others. New prisoner, one of the robots said in a flat voice. Human. Species classification. Minimal threat. Level. Physical strength. Low. Special abilities. None detected. Processing complete. The robots moved on, but one stayed behind. It stared at Jack with its glowing eyes. Human. You will learn the rules of Obsidian Deep, it said. Rule 1. Obey all commands from X-Rayan guards. Rule 2. Physical contact with other prisoners is forbidden. Rule 3. Attempting to escape is pointless and will result in punishment. The robot projected a beam of light that created a schedule on Jack's wall. This is your daily routine. Follow it exactly. Food will be delivered soon. Exercise period is in 1 hour. The warden will interview you tomorrow. The robot floated away, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts. Who are the Zorians? Jack asked after the robots were gone. The prison masters, replied Rex. They are not like you or me. They were machines once, but they evolved. Now they believe. It is their purpose to keep dangerous beings contained. Jack sat on his bed, trying to make sense of everything. He was trapped in an alien prison at the edge of the universe. No one on Earth knew where he was. No one would be looking for him. In the right places, the wall of his cell suddenly changed color. A section slid open, and a tray floated through. On it was a bowl of something that looked like blue pudding. Eat, said Elora from her cell. You will need your strength. The exercise period is designed to break us. It will be especially hard. For you if your species is as weak as the guards believe. Jack picked up the bowl. The food had no smell. He took a small taste. It was bland, but not unpleasant. He ate it all, knowing he would need energy. An hour later, the clear walls of all the cells slid open at once. The prisoners stepped out into the hallway. Jack did the same, unsure what to expect. Follow, said Rex. Do exactly as the others. Do not speak. Do not touch anyone. The guards will punish any disobedience. The prisoners walked in a line down the hallway. Jack stayed in the middle, trying to copy their movements. They entered a large round room with a high ceiling. The floor was marked with circles, one for each prisoner. Stand in an empty circle, whispered Elora as she passed Jack. Jack found an empty circle and stood in it. As soon as all prisoners were in position, the gravity changed. Jack felt himself becoming heavier. His legs shook with the effort of standing. Around him, the other prisoners showed no signs of discomfort. This was the test, Jack realized. This was how they broke new prisoners. But Jack had trained in high-G simulators on Earth. It was painful, but he knew how to handle it. He adjusted his posture and breathing. He would survive this. He would find a way home. The aliens had made a big mistake when they locked up a human. Days passed in Obsidian Deep. Jack learned to follow the strict routine. Wake up when the lights came on. Eat the blue food. Exercise in the gravity room. Return to the cell. Eat again. Sleep when the lights went out. The exercise periods got harder each day. The gravity would change without warning. Sometimes it was so heavy that Jack could barely stand. Other times it became so light that he almost floated away. The X-Rayan guards watched everything, their robot bodies floating above the prisoners. Jack noticed something important. While the other prisoners were stronger and had special powers, they weren't good at dealing with change. The rock-skinned Frex struggled when the gravity shifted quickly. The gas creature named Jakal became confused when the lights changed color. Even Elora, who seemed the most like Jack, had trouble when the temperature changed suddenly. But Jack was different. Humans on Earth lived in deserts and snow, in mountains and valleys. They had learned to adapt to all kinds of conditions. This was Jack's strength. On the 10th day, Jack was called to meet the warden. 2 robot guards came to his cell. "Follow," they said in their flat voices. Jack was led down long hallways he had never seen before. They passed cells with strange creatures that made his cell block seem friendly by comparison. Some prisoners were kept in special containers filled with different gases or liquids. Others were behind walls that glowed with energy fields. Finally, they reached a large door made of the same black material as everything else in the prison. It slid open silently. Inside was a round room. In the center floated a being unlike the robot guards. It was bigger and more complex, with many parts that moved in different ways. It glowed with a soft blue light. "I am Warden Xer," it said. Its voice sounded almost musical. "You are the human called Jack Miller." "Yes," Jack said. "There's been a mistake. I shouldn't be here." The warden moved closer to Jack. It had no face, but Jack felt like it was studying him carefully. "There are no mistakes in consortium justice," Warden Xer said. "You were identified as a dangerous criminal." "What criminal?" Jack asked. "What am I supposed to have done?" "You match the description of a being who destroyed a consortium research ship," the warden said. The criminal was described as bipedal, oxygen-breathing with limited sensory capacity. Jack shook his head. "That describes billions of beings across the galaxy, from what I've learned. My planet Earth hasn't even joined your consortium. We just learned you exist when your ships grabbed me." The warden was silent for a moment. Jack thought he saw the blue light flicker slightly. "Your claim will be investigated," the warden finally said, "but investigation takes time. The consortium has many systems and species to manage. Until then, you remain a prisoner of Obsidian Deep." Jack was taken back to his cell. He sat on his bed, thinking about what the warden had said. It might be years before anyone looked into his case. He needed another plan. That night, when the lights dimmed, Jack heard a soft voice from the cell next to his. "Human," Elora whispered. "The guards cannot hear us when they are in power-saving mode. We can talk now." "Thank you for telling me," Jack said quietly. "I have so many questions." "I heard your meeting with the warden," Elora said. "The walls carry sound to those who know how to listen. You might be right about being here by mistake." "Can you help me?" Jack asked. "Perhaps," Elora replied. "But first you must help me. Tomorrow during exercise, the gravity will be set to pattern 6. I know this because it follows a cycle. Pattern 6 includes a rapid drop in energy levels. When this happens, I will fall ill. My kind needs constant electromagnetic energy. What can I do? Jack asked. The floor panels conduct energy, Ilora explained. If someone could create a connection between my circle and the main power line that runs beneath the guard station, I could feed on that energy. Jack thought about this. I'll need materials. Frex can help, Ilora whispered. His skin can scrape off small pieces of the metal from the food trays. They won't be missed if taken slowly. The next day during mealtime, Vrex passed Jack's cell. As he walked by, a small piece of metal fell from his hand. Jack quickly picked it up and hid it under his mattress. Over the next few meals, more small pieces appeared. Jack collected them all. At night, Jack worked quietly. He bent and twisted the metal pieces to create a small tool that could connect to the floor panels. He had learned basic electrical engineering in the Navy. This wasn't so different, just with alien technology. During the next exercise period, Jack watched for his chance. The gravity changed several times. Then, just as Ilora had predicted, there was a pattern where the lights dimmed and the gravity became unsteady. Ilora fell to her knees in her circle, her wings drooping. The guards focused on a fight that broke. Out between two other prisoners, Jack saw his chance. He dropped his tool and kicked it with his foot, sliding it across the floor until it touched both Ilora's circle and the guard station's power line. A small spark jumped between them. Ilora's wings suddenly lit up with a blue glow. She stood up straight again, looking stronger. She gave Jack a small nod. After that day, things changed. Word spread among the prisoners that the human had helped Ilora. During mealtimes, prisoners would walk past Jack's cell and whisper bits of information. The guard shift changes at the middle sleep cycle. The black walls have tiny flaws if you feel them with wet fingers. The Jorians cannot see certain colors of light. Jack collected these secrets like treasures. Each one might help him escape. Someday. The gaseous prisoner, Jokal, taught Jack a few words in different alien languages. Frex showed him how to sense vibrations in the floor that told when guards were coming. Ilora was the most helpful. Because her species could manipulate electromagnetic energy, she could sometimes interfere with the cell doors. Not enough to open them, but enough to let her and Jack talk more easily at night. The consortium doesn't know much about humans, do they? Jack asked her one night. No, Ilora said. Your world is in what they call a developing sector. The consortium usually leaves such worlds alone until they develop faster than light travel. So they don't know that humans are good at adapting? Jack asked. They classified you as minimal threat level, Ilora replied. That may be their biggest mistake. Jack smiled in the darkness of his cell. The prison was built to hold the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. But sometimes danger wasn't about strength or special powers. Sometimes it was about being able to change, to learn, to make friends, even in the worst places. Jack was beginning to form a plan. He would need help from his new allies. It would be risky, and it would take time, but one thing was becoming clear. The consortium had made a very big mistake when they locked up a human. Back on Earth, Officer Samantha Reeves stared at her computer screen. The room around her was dark, except for the glow of the monitor. It was past midnight, but Sam couldn't sleep. She hadn't slept well for weeks, not since Jack disappeared. Sam was 30 years old with short blonde hair and determined green eyes. She worked in communications at NASA, where she had known Jack for 5 years. They weren't just colleagues. They were friends. And Sam didn't believe the official story about Jack's disappearance. Equipment failure and pilot error, her boss had said. Lieutenant Miller's ship lost power at the edge of the solar system. We've lost contact. He's presumed dead. But Sam had seen the last data from Jack's ship. There was a strange energy, pattern just before contact was lost. It wasn't like any natural phenomenon. she had ever studied. Sam had spent every night for the past month looking through the data, searching for clues. Tonight, she was breaking the rules. She had accessed classified systems to run a deeper scan of the area where Jack vanished. Her computer beeped. The scan was complete. Sam leaned forward, her eyes widening. "I knew it," she whispered. The scan showed traces of an unknown element in the area. There was also a faint radiation trail leading away from our solar system. Something had been there. Something had taken Jack. Sam copied the data onto a small drive and slipped it into her pocket. She would need proof to convince others of what she had found. As she left the building, Sam noticed a car in the parking lot. It wasn't unusual for people to work late, but this car had been there every night when she left. She had never seen anyone get in or out of it. Tonight, as she walked to her own car, the strange vehicle's door opened. A figure stepped out. Sam froze. The figure was tall and thin, wearing what looked like a long silver coat. As it came closer, Sam saw that it wasn't human. Its skin was pale blue, and its eyes were too large for its narrow face. "Officer Samantha Reeves," the being said in perfect English. "We need to talk about Jack Miller." In Obsidian Deep, Jack was putting his plan into action. Over many weeks, he had collected small pieces of metal and other materials. Elora had taught him how to create a simple device that could interfere with the prison systems for a short time. "It won't last long," Elora had warned. "Maybe 30 seconds. After that, the alarms will sound." 30 seconds might be enough, Jack had replied. Today was the day. During exercise period, Jack would make his move. The plan was simple but dangerous. When the gravity shifted to its lowest point, Jack would use Elora's device to disable the energy field around the exercise room. Then he, Elora, Vrex, and Jackal would make their way to the transport bay. The transport ships come once every 10 cycles, Vrex had told him. They bring new prisoners and supplies. If we can reach a ship, we might escape. The exercise period began as usual. The prisoners stood in their circles. The gravity began to change, getting heavier then lighter. Jack waited for the right moment. When the gravity dropped to almost nothing, Jack activated the device. There was a soft humming sound, and then the energy field around the room flickered and disappeared. "Now!" Jack shouted. Vrex moved first, his rocky body smashing into one of the guard robots. Shia's gaseous form spread through the air, confusing the other guards. Elora grabbed Jack's hand and pulled him toward the door. "This way," she said. "I can sense the power lines that lead to the transport bay." They ran through the hallways of Obsidian Deep. Alarms began to sound much sooner than they had expected. Red lights flashed along the walls. "They know," Vrex shouted. "They've detected our escape." "Keep moving," Jack urged. "We're almost there." They reached a large door. Elora placed her hands on it, sending a pulse of energy into the control panel. The door slid open. Inside was a huge room filled with ships of different sizes. Some were small and sleek. Others were large cargo vessels. All of them were guarded by robot sentries. "There are too many guards," Jackal's voice whispered around. "Them. We cannot fight them all." Jack looked around the room, thinking fast. He noticed a control panel near one of the smaller ships. "I have an idea," he said. "Elora, can you create a power surge in that panel over there? Vrex, when she does, I need you to break through to that small ship. Jackal, can you create a distraction on the far side of the room?" They all agreed to the plan. Jackal floated away, moving to the opposite end of the transport bay. Suddenly, alarms began to sound in that area. The guard robots moved toward the disturbance. Elora sent a pulse of energy into the control panel Jack had pointed out. Sparks flew from it, and more alarms sounded. In the confusion, Vrex smashed through the remaining guards, clearing a path. To the small ship. Hurry. Vrex called Dotchak, and Elora ran to the ship. The door was locked, but Vrex broke it open with his powerful arms. They climbed inside. Do you know how to fly this? Jack asked, looking at the alien controls. No, Elora. Admitted. I was hoping you did. Jack sat in what looked like the pilot's seat. The controls were strange, but he could see some similarities to human spacecraft. There were what looked like steering controls and what might be engine switches. I'll try, he said. Let's get your call first. Jack pressed what he hoped was the communication system. GA call. We're in the small ship near the east wall. Get here now. A cloud of purple gas streamed across the room, dodging guard robots. Shakal slipped through a small opening in the ship's door, just as more guards arrived. Close the door. Jack shouted. Vrex pulled the door shut with a loud clang. Guard robots surrounded the ship, their weapons pointed at them. Jack looked at the controls again. There had to be a way to start the engines. He pressed a large button in the center of the panel. Nothing happened. Why isn't it working? Elora asked, panic in her voice. I don't know, Jack said. There must be some security system. The ship's communication system suddenly came to life. The voice of Warden Exer filled the cabin. Prisoners of Obsidian Deep, you have violated multiple rules. Surrender now, and your punishment will be minimal. Resist, and you will face maximum security protocols. Jack looked at his friends. They had come so far. They couldn't give up now. Any ideas? He asked. Shakal floated closer to the control panel. I can attempt to merge with the ship's systems. It is painful for my kind, but I might be able to override the security. Is it dangerous for you? Jack asked. Yes, Shakal replied, but freedom is worth the risk. Before Jack could respond, the ship shook violently. The guard robots had begun to cut through the hull. We're out of time, Vrex said. Make your choice, human. Jack nodded to Shakal. Do it. The gaseous alien spread itself thin, seeping into the ship's control panel. The lights in the cabin flickered. Strange symbols appeared on the screens. Outside, the cutting stopped. The robots backed away from the ship. What's happening? Elora asked. I don't know, Jack said. But I think the ship's engine suddenly roared to life. The control panel lit up with blue and green lights. Shakal did it. Jack exclaimed. The ship began to rise from the floor of the transport bay. Through the windows, Jack could see guard robots firing weapons at them, but the shots bounced off the ship's hull. Hold on, Jack said as he grabbed what looked like steering controls. The small ship shot forward, crashing through the bay doors and out into space. The small ship raced away from Obsidian Deep. Through the window, Jack could see the prison growing smaller behind him. It was a massive black structure floating in space, surrounded by swirling colors from the strange area between two galaxies. We did it, Elora said, her wings glowing with excitement. No one has ever escaped from Obsidian Deep before. Not yet, Jack cautioned. They'll send ships after us. We need to get as far away as possible. Vrex stood by the ship's sensors. There are already pursuit vessels launching. 6 of them. Jack looked at the controls. Shakal's gas form was still merged with the ship's systems, making the lights flicker in patterns. Shakal, can you hear me? Can you help us go faster? Jack asked. The lights blinked in what seemed like a yes pattern. The ship suddenly jumped forward with much greater speed. Jack was pushed back into his seat by the force. Where should we go? Elora asked. We're all from different worlds. Jack thought for a moment. First, we need to prove my innocence. If I'm here by mistake, maybe you all are too. We need to find the consortium headquarters and show them the truth. The consortium central hub is in the Vega sector, Rex said. But they would arrest us on sight. Then we need evidence first, Jack said. Who made the original arrest report that got me sent to Obsidian Deep? The ship's screen lit up with information. Zhu Kal was searching the ship's database. A file appeared showing a report from a consortium patrol ship called the Starward Seeker. The patrol ship that captured me, Jack said. We need to find it. If we can access their records, we might find proof that they made a mistake. The screen showed the current location of the Starward Seeker. It was patrolling an area not far from where Jack had been captured. Set course for those coordinates, Jack told Jakal. The ship changed direction, its engines humming loudly. Elora looked at the pursuit ships on the screen. They're falling behind. We're faster than they are. Good, Jack said. We need time. Back on Earth, Sam sat in a small room with the alien visitor. The being had introduced itself as Observer Len, a consortium representative who had been secretly monitoring Earth for 50 years. Your friend Jack Miller was arrested by mistake, Len explained. The real criminal was captured 3 days ago in another system, but no one has updated the prison records yet. So Jack is innocent, but still locked up in this. What did you call it? Sam asked. Obsidian Deep, Len said. The most secure prison facility in the known galaxy. No one has ever escaped. We have to help him, Sam insisted. You need to take me there. Len shook his head. I can't. I'm just an observer. I'm breaking dozens of rules just by talking to you. Earth isn't supposed to have official contact with the consortium for at least another 30 years. But you can't just leave Jack there, Sam protested. I've sent a message to my superiors, Len said. But bureaucracy moves slowly. It could be months before they investigate. Sam stood up, determination in her eyes. Then we need to go now. In your ship. You have one, right? Len hesitated. Yes, but... No buts, Sam interrupted. You made a mistake. Your people took an innocent man. Now you're going to help me fix it. In space, Jack's stolen ship approached the coordinates where the Starward Seeker was patrolling. They had escaped their pursuers from the prison, but now faced a new challenge. There it is, Rex said, pointing at the screen. The Starward Seeker was much larger than their small ship. It was the same arrowhead shape as the ship that had captured Jack originally. How do we get aboard? Elora asked. We'll have to be clever. Jack said, Jukal, can you send a distress signal? Make it seem like we're a damaged cargo ship. The lights blinked, and the ship began broadcasting a distress call. On the screen, they saw the Starward Seeker change course, moving toward them. They're taking the bait, Jack said. Now we need to get ready. When they bring us into their docking bay, we'll need to move fast. Find their records room and get the proof we need. And if they recognize us as escaped prisoners? Rex asked. Jack smiled grimly. Then we'll have to show them why the galaxy's most dangerous prisoners shouldn't be cornered. The Starward Seeker grew larger on their screen. A voice came through their communication system. Damaged vessel. This is Consortium Patrol Ship Starward Seeker. We will bring you aboard for assistance. Power down your engines and prepare for tractor beam. Jack nodded to his friends. This is it. Remember the plan. Their small ship was pulled into the larger vessel's docking bay. Through the windows, they could see alien crew members waiting to help what they thought was a damaged cargo ship. Ready? Jack asked. His new friends nodded. Let's go. They burst from their ship, catching the patrol crew by surprise. Vrex charged forward, his rocky body knocking aside anyone in his path. Elora flew above, her electromagnetic powers disabling weapons. Shah Kal's gas form spread through the air vents, causing confusion throughout the ship. Jack ran straight. for what looked like a control room. Years of military training guided his movements as he dodged alien crew members and made his way to his target. Inside the control room, Jack found what he was looking for: the ship's records. He began searching through the files, looking for information about his capture dot. An alarm sounded throughout the ship. Intruder alert! Escaped prisoners from Obsidian Deep. All crew to battle stations. Jack worked faster. Finally, he found it, the original report about his capture. It showed the description of the criminal they had been hunting: bipedal oxygen breather with limited sensory capacity. But there was more. The report included an update that had never been sent to prison. Actual criminal captured in Sirius Sector. Human specimen taken in error. Recommend immediate release. The order had been given 3 weeks ago, but had never been carried out. The bureaucracy of the consortium had buried it. Jack downloaded the file just as the door to the control room burst open. Consortium security officers rushed in, weapons raised. "Hands up, prisoner!" they shouted. Jack raised his hands slowly, still holding the data device with the proof of his innocence. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. A new voice came over the communication system. "Consortium vessel Starward Seeker, this is Observer Ship Delta. Stand down immediately. We have an Earth representative aboard with full diplomatic authority." On the view screen, a small silver ship appeared. Jack couldn't believe his eyes when he saw who was being escorted onto the bridge of the Starward Seeker a few minutes later. "Sam?" he said in disbelief. Samantha Reeves walked onto the bridge, accompanied by a blue-skinned alien and several consortium officials who looked extremely uncomfortable. "Jack," Sam ran to him, embracing him tightly. "You're alive." "How did you—" Jack began. "Long story," Sam said. "But the short version is, they made a mistake. You're free to go. All of you are." The consortium officials confirmed what Sam said. The real criminal had been captured weeks ago. Due to a clerical error, the prison was never notified. The update Jack had found proved it. Jack looked at his friends Elora, Vrex, and Jacques, who had reformed into his gaseous shape. "What about them? Are they free too?" "We're reviewing their cases," one official said nervously. "It seems there may have been other mistakes." Jack smiled. He had escaped the galaxy's most secure prison. He had proven his innocence. And he had made friends with beings from across the stars. Not bad for humanity's first real step into the galaxy. "So," Sam asked with a grin, "ready to go home?" Jack looked at his alien friends, then back at Sam. "Yes, but I think Earth is about to get some very interesting visitors."